It was an eventful round last week for the Raven Grafixx E-Speed Contender Series at the one and only road course that's happening in this chase format. Only about 6 or 7 cars coming home on the lead lap. But for the final round of the first phase of the chase, we moved to the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the E-Speed Hotlanta 200. Which 8 drivers are going to carry on into phase number 2 and which 4 are going to be on the outside looking in? We're going to find out tonight in just a few moments' time. Don't go away. Welcome back to RaceSpot TV and iRacingLive as coverage begins of your Raven Grafixx E-Speed Contender Series. Final round of phase number 1 of the chase is the 20th round overall here for the E-Speed Hotlanta 200. Randy Cheneth and, shockingly enough, Jake Blackall Hughley joining us today. Jake, how'd you enjoy your vacation?
I didn't enjoy it that well. I would have rather been commentating, but it's good to be back. Good to be here for the final round of this first part of the chase. And it looks like it's been interesting while I've been gone. But tonight, it looks like it's going to be a very close race, especially here at Atlanta.
Times are definitely close. Top 3 all in the 29.9s. And even getting beyond that, a lot of cars very, very quick here today. And this last round of the chase, let's talk about the points just a little bit. Coming into this, the top 8 who have themselves locked in going into the next round are Travis Townsend, Keith Stewart, Jason Sizlove, Brandon Holder, Bart Marack, Tim Marlowe, Brent Keith, and Edward Zaghetti. The drivers on the outside looking in currently are Doc Stout, James Torrey, Everett Lane, and Chris Britt. So for those 4, especially I think if you're Chris Britt, you have to be worried, but Britt's not here.
Yeah, Britt is not here, so Britt will not be making it through to the second part of the chase, and that's a big shock. I think we all put money on him, especially with 6 wins in the first part of this season, to actually make it through towards the end of the race, or the end of the race of the chase. But that is not going to happen this year, and he's going to have to come back next season fighting hard to get that one done.
Keeping track of those other 3, let's see, we look at Doc Stout. He qualifies himself tonight in the 15th position. Not what he would have wanted. James Torrey's down in 18th, and Everett F. Lane, not good for him, sitting down in 21st. So right now, Jake, if you were coming in underneath the bubble for this final round of the first phase of the chase, you have to be looking somewhat frustrated right now, considering you qualified at best 15th.
Yeah, you'd be frustrated coming in. Only 3 points out, like you said, Doc Stout, outside of Edward Zaghetti, and that's a little bit that you needed, just that little bit more. He's only a couple spots behind him on the track as well, 13th for Edward Zaghetti in that 58 truck, so just a little bit more that Doc Stout could have wanted to get himself further up, but starting down there in 15th, it's going to be a tough night, especially for Torrey, 18th, as well as Everett F. Lane, 21st. It's just going to be a tough night for all 3 of them to try and get that little bit more to make it way into that chase.
So as they roll off, let's go down now the starting grid for the 24 truck field here for the E-Speed Hotlanta 200. Coming in with the pole, he's going to be happy about this. Tim Marlowe, 29.925. Outside of him, you have the 45 machine of Bart Marack. Doug Lemons, Jason Sizlove, they make up that second row. Look for Sizlove. He needs to have a big night tonight, although he currently sits in a good position in the points. Keith Stewart, Travis Turnmeyer, they make up row number 3 with Brent Keith and Sean Miller in that 4th row. Aaron Ames and William Toney, they make up the top 10 here in row number 5. Row 6, Travis Townsend in the 83, somewhat off qualified a little bit further back from where we might expect an 11th. Burt Wilson on his outside. Ed Zagetti and Sean Ryan, they roll off from row number 7 with Doc Stout and Brad Patterson. Row 8, Brent Day and James Torrey. Row 9 with Perry Snelson and Glenn Jamison. Row number 10. Everett Lane and Frank Gramuglia. Row number 11 with the final row tonight of Timmy Logwood Jr. and Doyle Lawrence in the 12th row. 24 cars, 130 laps, 200 miles, and Tim Marlowe is in command of the field tonight. Best qualifying I think we've seen from him all season long. Pace car on the pit lane, and Tim Marlowe gets on the gas, and we are green to the East Speed Hotlanta 200 here. Final round of the chase. Who's going to get in? Who's going to be out?
Yeah, great jump there from Tim Marlowe. First time he's been on pole up the front all season long, and he's gone. He's going to pull out a couple of truck banks into turn 1. Everyone else already pretty much single file behind. Bart Marak already dropped down to the low light. Doug Lemons as well. That's Travis Turnmeyer on the inside of Jason Sizlov, who's had a strong chase so far. He'll be looking to continue that tonight.
Sizlov, how's he going to race this? Is he going to race hard with the 54? Doesn't look like it. He's going to be somewhat unaggressive with that 54 machine. Just wants to get in line. Slots in just in front of Keith Stewart in the 16, who currently runs himself up in the top 5. Good jump from Bobby. Actually, no, I take that back. He actually ended up falling down a spot. But right now, 3-truck breakaway out near the front of the field. Tim Marlowe, Bart Marak, Doug Lemons currently run 1, 2, 3. They come off corner number 2 down the back straightaway for the second time. They have themselves about a 4/10 of a second advantage over the rest of the field.
Yeah, they've got out to a big jump already, those 3 trucks out in front. I wasn't expecting that early on. I thought Turnmeyer and then maybe could have tried to keep up with them, but at the moment, those 3 trucks trying to pull away. Lemons looks the raciest of the 3. He's just had some bad luck of recent, and now he definitely looks like he wants to get around that 45 truck and try and see what he can do to try and catch that 28 out in front.
Different grooves already coming into play here, Jake. You see Tim Marlowe through the center of 1 and 2, running the middle. Both Marak and Lemons go to the bottom early. Let's see what happens through 3 and 4. Again, that 28 machine running that middle groove just above that first seam. 45 with Bart Marak. He just puts the right sides above that seam on drivers right, and Doug Lemons a little bit lower. But neither of those drivers getting quite down to the white line through 3 and 4. Let's see what they do through 1 and 2 again.
Yeah, see what they do this time through 1 and 2. Most of them running low. Marak goes high this time. He runs the middle of the groove, maybe letting Lemons through he is. And at the moment, this is actually giving a gap to Tim Marlowe of a couple of truck mates behind them, side by side between William Toney and actually Travis Townsend in that 83 truck. Travis not got as much pace as I thought at the moment. He's sitting there on that high side trying to see what he can do around the 87 to Toney.
Marak again goes high, and he's going to lose another spot, this time to the 54, Travis Turnmeyer, to move that 45 machine back into the 4th spot. The 44 Sizlov, he's going to capitalize. 16 of Keith Stewart, he's going to capitalize. Bart Marak gets himself up out of the groove, Jake, and he's just falling like a rock. Here comes the 32 of Brent Keith. 56 of Sean Miller, also going to try to follow suit as well. That 45, he got out of the groove, but there's going to be an instant behind him. The 7 of Burt Wilson involved. Who's that up top? That's the 72 of Aaron Ames. Another truck, the 42 gets a piece of it. Brad Patterson's bad luck continues as yellows for the first time this evening.
That was a weird one. I wasn't expecting what happened there. Marak was slow, obviously, in front of them all. Wilson, I think, got a massive shove from the 83 behind and got shoved into the outside wall. And once again, Brad Patterson just gets around, and that's all that happens, gets involved in something that wasn't of his own doing.
Yeah, Patterson, just past 2 seasons we've talked about it, just dreadful luck, but I think that's exactly what happened. I think Sean Miller checked up for Brent Keith, or one of the other trucks out in front, but Sean Miller checked up. Burt Wilson was checking up for him, and I don't think Townsend realized that the 7 didn't realize the 56 was going to be checking up, so he had no reason to think the 7 would check up. Just got into that 7 machine a little bit too hard, got that back end light, picked the rear tires up off the ground, and away she went. And a couple trucks pretty much taken out here in the early goings.
Yeah, Aaron Ames got a big size of that as well. William Toney as well. The 7, obviously, Burt Wilson. Then the 42 of Brad Patterson got some damage. I didn't see the front of the 83 and how clean that is. It should be alright. Maybe a little bit of damage there on the 83 of Townsend. He's going to come down pit road. So first round of pit stops, everyone on pit road. These new tyres, Randy, it looks like some people are wanting to go through and figure out what they can do on the fresher rubber early on.
definitely seems to be the case. The 2 of James Torrey, it seemed, missed his box, and he's going to roll through. But Tim Marlowe, he's going to come out in front. And actually, Travis Turnmeyer, well done by him. He comes in on this lap 4th in the grid, and he comes out of the pit lane in 2nd. So a net gain of +2 for Turnmeyer. Doug Lemons, he gains a spot and he loses a spot, so he stays the same regardless. But right now, I think if you're Travis Turnmeyer, you have to be super happy about that one.
Yeah, good jump from Travis Turnmeyer. Got himself up and now the right behind.
Oh, I take that back. Stout didn't pit.
Stout didn't pit. That doesn't surprise me. Obviously, it's a very early run, 5 laps into the run, and people are already coming down pit road. He maybe tried to lead a lap and just missed it a little bit. So we'll see whether he comes down pit road this time. We obviously know the 2. The 2 missed his box. The 62 he's going to stay out, and the 2 he's going to stay out as well. So the 2 of them are going to be restarting in front. No tires on the 2 and the 62.
This is going to be interesting to watch here, Jake, because Atlanta traditionally very abrasive here, very bumpy surface. How do you think these old tires are going to fare? I have to say, Doc, I mean, you look at both the 62 and the 2 machine, they qualified 15th and 18th out there on old tires. I think it's going to be a struggle for either of them to maintain in the top 5. Nonetheless, maybe even the top 10 might be a struggle.
Yeah, I think overall it's going to be a struggle with the older tyres, but the way this new tyre model is now that they've just brought in, that iRacing have just updated, it's going to be interesting to see how they run over longevity, because if they actually kept a little bit of speed out of it on the first couple of laps, it might be alright later on for both of them out in this longer run. So we'll see what happens here, how much of a good restart they're going to get compared to these guys on fresh 4 tyres, soon to find out.
Soon to find out indeed, as the lights are out on the pace car and the field forms up. So we will be green this time by going to be lap number 8 of 130 on the ticket tonight. First caution of the evening. Only have 1 truck currently scored out of this one, and that's the 45 of Bart Marak. We'll have to see what happens, because I'm not sure how he got caught up in that one. But 62 machine going to be in command of the field for the first restart of the evening. iRacing Mustang safety car comes down onto pit lane, and Doc Stout gets on the gas pedal. We are green again here for the E-Speed Hotlanta 200. Across the stripe they come side by side. Not a good jump for the 2 of James Torrey. The 28 of Marlowe going to slip into 2nd early.
Yeah, not a good jump from the 2 of Torrey on the high side. Let's see what Tim Marlowe can do. Fresher rubber here compared to Doc Stout. He's looking high through the middle of 1 and 2. He might just duck down to the inside as Doug Lemons gets the run on Torrey. He's going to get that position going down into turn number 3 right now. And the 28 of Tim Marlowe, he's there, but he's playing it patient with the 62. I think he knows he's on the fresh rubber. He's going to look high. He's going to go around the high side coming off of turn number 4, and that should give him the momentum off the corner to get this job done going into turn number 1.
Good move by the 28 of Marlowe. He doesn't have the lead just yet. Doc Stout's going to lead another one. But how will that new rubber work up top? Well, it's sticky up there, and the Tim Marlowe is going to drive around the outside of the 62 of Doc Stout. He inherits your race lead. Now the 70 of Doug Lemons looks to the high line of Doc Stout as well. He's going to nose out ahead, and I think he's going to have the grip advantage through 3 and 4 on the top side as well. 83 of Travis Townsend also trying to follow through up top. Doc Stout doing a good job to hold it down on the bottom, but he just doesn't quite have the pace to keep up with these guys.
Yeah, he's falling like a rock. There's not as much as James Torrey in that too. He is gone outside of the top 10 already. He's starting just to fall a long way out, or stuck on that high side. But everyone else now having to go around the long way of Doc Stout, and that's Turnmeyer around the outside of the 62, and I think behind him as well, that's going to be Sean M. Ryan. He's going to try and get that one done in the 29 truck. This could be a position where the 62 could come up. He's got a little bit of a gap there before Brent Keith's going to get him, and he might be able to try and get into a rhythm and figure out what he can do on these older tyres compared to everyone else. But that was a little bit hairy between those two coming off of turn number 2. That was Turnmeyer in the 62.
Yeah, the 62 machine of Doc Stout. He's going to have to be careful here, not let himself get too freight trained as he works himself off of corner number 2, but he gets himself back in line, and Brent Keith doesn't make much gain. So if you're that 62 machine, you have to be happy with that. Meanwhile, looking back out front, 3-car breakaway yet again. Tim Marlowe, Doug Lemons, they fighting out for the race lead, and rolling in third is Travis Townsend. What is this, Jake? Last season, Townsend, Lemons, Marlowe running 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, this is last season all over again. Townsend has really made up some ground, especially on that pit stop cycle. He was down in started 11th, sort of was running around there after that incident, and now he's all there. Lemons is all over the back of that 28 of Tim Marlowe coming off the turn 2. Got the run off the corner. He might have a look, but rolls out, and that actually gave the door to Townsend. And as I say that, the 28 leaves the door wide open. Lemons is going to get that one through the middle of the 3 and 4. New race leader, the 70 of Doug Lemons.
Doug Lemons leading laps like he has been in the later phase of the championship. He was relatively quiet through the early stages and through the middle of it, but from about 3/4 on, he's been a very, very quick truck. I think he's led laps the last 3 to 4 races here. The 83 of Travis Townsend, though, trying to fight with the 28 of Tim Marlowe off of corner number 2, but that top side seems really strong right now as they run down into 3 and 4, and you can just see the 28 of Tim Marlowe, Jay, really able to keep up that momentum, but 83 of Townsend, I think, hooked the bottom well, but not good enough. Doesn't get a good run off. 28's just going to know the head as they come across the stripe to log lap number 14.
Yeah, good battle between the 28 and the 83. Old teammates, remember, from last season under Old Fart Sim Racing, so the two of them going at it once again. The 83 of Townsend, he just cleared Marlowe coming off of turn 2. I think that gave Marlowe a bit of a shock because he rolled out of it and he lost about a couple of truck lengths going down the back straightaway. And that's actually brought Travis Termeyer in the 54 back into this one. He's really caught up the back of the pack while these guys have been fighting.
So still 3-4 truck breakaway. Travis Turnmeyer has done a good job to get himself and latch himself back onto this lead group, but I think the 83 of Townsend and the 70 of Lemons are pretty much going to break away now that they have the ability to, and a little bit of clean air out there running 1 and 2. Then you got a big breakaway from Travis Turnmeyer to Sean M. Ryan, who currently runs in 5th. That's a 1.2 second gap, and they're almost going to go 3 wide, running for 6th. That's Doc Stout, Brent Keith, and Keith Stewart as well, running 6th, 7th, and 8th right now as they come off of 4.
Yeah, Keith Stewart now on the inside of the 62 of Doc Stout. Doc's actually held his own for a little bit inside of this top 10. He's only just lost that spot, obviously, to Brent Keith, and now he's going to lose the one to the 16 to Keith Stewart. So that's going to drop him to around about that 8th spot at the moment. But he's doing a good job holding on those older tyres. Remember, he did not come down pit road underneath that first caution. Now Keith Stewart to the inside of the 32 of Brent Keith. Can he get this one done? That high side just starting to rubber in a little bit with these guys out in front, running around that high side as well. So it's going to give that little bit of momentum on the top side and help that in a longer way around the racetrack. But Keith Stewart gets it done.
Keeping tabs out front, both the 28 and the 54 are doing well to keep up with the back end of Travis Townsend and Doug Lemons. However, Travis Townsend going to look to the inside of his old rival, the 70 Doug Lemons, into 3 and 4. And does he get the momentum? Does he have the run? He's going to push up wide just a little bit, leaves about a foot between the two trucks, but the 83 is going to just know the head. Travis Townsend going to lead lap number 18 by about 0.02 of a second, and he's going to get the lead as they go into 183 is clear, and the leading laps here at Atlanta.
From 11th on the grid to 1st in the space of 19 laps with a caution in between that. Travis Townsend's on a mission. He is gone already. He's already put out 3 truck lengths on Doug Lemons, so that little bit of a battle maybe took it out of Lemons, and he is now dropping that little bit of a gap that he wouldn't want. Marlowe's now giving up the spot to Travis Termeyer through 3 and 4, went high and give that spot to the 54 now up into P number 3. So good battle between these non-chase guys, every single one of them inside that, besides obviously the leader now, non-chase contenders.
Yeah, a lot of the non-chase guys running really, really strong. Doug Lemons not in the chase. Travis Turnmeyer not in the chase. Tim Marlowe, of course, is. So 2 of your top 4 not chase contenders, and running 5th, you have Sean M. Ryan, not a chase contender as well. So 3 of your top 5, but that's about to change as Keith Stewart puts himself into the 5th position. Doesn't quite get clear of the 29 yet, but he's going to have the lead, the lead for the 5th here as they come across the stripe. But now, 3 chase contenders in your top 5.
Yeah, 3 of them now, and it's just getting down to that point of where these guys are trying to work their way inside to that top 5, and it's been a while. Usually they're already qualified in there, but the guys have had a tough qualifying for most of the guys in the chase and trying to work their way into it now to get a good position. There's a good battle going on. It's been behind Sean Ryan. That's Brent Keith, Edward Sketty, Brent Day, and Glenn Jamieson, 4-car train at the moment. They've just got a little bit of a gap to try and close in to the 29 in front of him, who obviously just got passed by Keith Stewart in that 16 truck.
Fights up and down your field currently happening. Ed Zaghetti just almost noses underneath the 32 of Brent Keith. He gets down to the clean air, but not quite able to get an overlap. And they're going to run single file down your back straightaway. Let's see what happens through 3 and 4. Single file train, or is that number 58 machine is Zaghetti going to look to the bottom? He looks a little bit lower and he gets a little bit of a run. Can that 58 machine get an overlap? Yes, he can. 58 at the left rear quarter panel of the 32, and now pulling alongside on the quick run down to the first corner here at Atlanta Motor Speedway into 1 and 2 now. Will the 58 machine be able to stretch himself ahead of the 32 of Brent Keith? I think he will be able to. He's not quite clear coming off the corner. Yes, he is. He gets back up in line. 58 of Edward Zaghetti moves him up into P7. Brent Day looking to follow him through and get around the 32 of Brent Keith as well. Maybe even just behind Glenn Jameson in the 63, taking advantage also.
Yeah, it looks like once you get stuck on that high side, you're going to have a tough day trying to get back inside. So all of those three trucks got around the 32 of Brent Keith, and he's gone straight to the back of that train, just in front of Doc Stewart on those older tyres. Edward Zaghetti had a couple of looks of laps before, but he got it done the past couple of laps through 3 and 4, and it was a good move from Edward Zaghetti, and that just opened the door and let everyone through on Brent Keith, and that hurt him. Brent Day's now coating right up on the back of that 58 truck. Maybe going to have a look as well as Brent Keith now close on the back of Glenn Jameson. He had a little look going into turn number 3, but not close enough this time to get the nose down there. But the three of them now can restart a battle with Doc Stout in amongst it.
So tail end of the top 10, you have an intense fight happening. Glenn Jameson, Brent Keith, Doc Stout as they work through 1 and 2. No overlap just yet for Keith as they work off the corner, but he gets a bit of a run. But I think he might have to just lift out of it. He's going to pull to driver's left, and he starts just pulling alongside the 63. Into 3 and 4 they come, and Glenn Jameson to the top side. Not much of a challenge for Brent Keith, or is he? Through the middle corner on exit, the 63 is really strong, Jake. But that 32 of Brent Keith is so good on the entry to the corners right now.
Yeah, the 32, that's his strong point at the moment, is into the corners. Everyone else seems like they're just a little bit better off the corner, and that's what hurt him when he was on that high side. Now, he's got that position back on the 63 of Glenn Jameson, the 62 of Doc Stout. He's going to try and follow through, and this has actually brought another truck into this. Frank Gamuglia in that 13 truck, going to have maybe a look at himself to get himself inside that top 10, but it's a good battle here. Just fighting on the inside of the top 10 and the outside as Doc Stout gets clear of the 63. No, he doesn't. He does now on the front straightaway.
So Doc Stout moving himself slowly up this field, puts himself into the top 10, and where he currently sits in the points, he needs to have a good run like that. For the most part, most of your battles starting to calm down here out here on the racetrack. Race leader Travis Townsend currently has himself a casual 2.6 second advantage. Something interesting to note, Jake, one driver out there that's really been able to match the pace of that number 83 machine, that has been Keith Stewart.
Yeah, it's interesting to know that Keith Stewart keeping up pace down in the 5th position at the moment. 31.2 last time round compared to that 31.2 of Travis Townsend, so running a nearly identical pace. Lemons in front of him was a 31.5, so we took 3/10 out of Lemons, and that's for the 4th spot. So Keith Stewart on a charge right now in that 16 truck, obviously winner last week at Watkins Glen, so he's riding on that momentum, knows he's in the chase, or the second phase of the chase, and now he's going to try and see what he can do as Termeyer looks to the inside of Tim Marlowe down the front straightaway. This could be the change for P number 2. Marlowe in that 50, in the 28, going to stay up high. The 54 of Termeyer down to the inside and going to get it done quite easily and going to move himself up into that 2nd spot.
Keeping an eye on the lap times of 16 of Keith Stewart, quickest truck on the racetrack that time round, but Travis Turnmeyer gets himself into the 2nd spot, and here comes Keith Stewart on the inside of the 70 of Doug Lemons. He's going to pick up the 4th spot, so move that 16 up amongst your top 4. Now not gaining 1 position from where he started. Now he sets his sights on the 28 of Marlowe, and as well as the 54 of Travis Turnmeyer as they roll off into 1 and 2 now for the 30th time. 30 laps down, going to be 100 laps to go next time round, and up and off the corner they come. How long is this 16 machine going to be able to maintain this pace?
Yeah, we'll see what he can do. He's running a different line to the 2 in front of him. The 2 now in front of him are running above that middle, the first seam on the racetrack, running right in that middle groove. Obviously Keith running that lower line around the racetrack, so maybe that could be helping him, but these guys in front could be saving tires for the longer run. So it's all a tire game now, especially with the way these tires are heating up and cooling down. The 16 running around that same line now has sort of followed them, run them around that middle seam as Tim Marlowe gets really high coming off the corner, had to feather the throttle, and behind them actually I think that's Sean Ryan with the battle of Edward Zaghetti, who had a look coming off the corner but not close enough to get the run, going down the back straightaway.
Here comes Zaghetti again, looking down to the inside through 3 and 4. Is he going to be able to get to the tailgate of that 29 of Sean Ryan? Yes, he is. And I think he's just going to get a bit of an overlap on driver's left. No, he's going to fall back in the line. They're going to stay almost single file through the quad oval. Into 1 and 2 they come again, and the 58 looks to the white line down on the bottom of the racetrack, and the 58 is Zaghetti, able to just get clear. That 29 of Sean Ryan moves Zaghetti up into P6 if he can maintain the momentum, and he shuts off the line of the 29 of Sean Ryan. So well done by Edward Zaghetti. Move him up into 6. Is keeping tabs on the 16 of Keith Stewart. He just got himself into the 3rd spot, now setting his sights on Turnmeyer as Doug Lemons comes down on a pit road.
Lemon's the first one to blink of the leaders to come down pit road. This could be a scheduled stop. Oh, it's a little bit early for a scheduled stop, I think, Randy, but maybe the way these tyres are, he's trying to see what he can do and how this undercut's going to work. When you look at the times that they've been running, 31.6s, or roughly their best times is 30.2, so there's only 1.4 second gain. Don't know whether that's really worth that early pit stop.
It'll be interesting to see. Just looking at the lap times, let's ride on board. Well, not ride on board, but let's just kind of gauge this to the 16. Keith Stewart, his PB, 30.479. Last time around the racetrack, 31.7. So potentially second and a half or so is what you're losing on the old tires. However, if you're someone like the 16 of Keith Stewart, you're going to want to stay out there as long as you can, because that 16 machine is bad fast. The only truck that's putting in lap times quicker than him, the 83 of Travis Townsend, is the 16 of Keith, trying to get a run on Travis Turnmeyer just ahead of him. Going to be about a 1/10 of a second disadvantage he has as they come across the stripe now and into 1 and 2.
Yeah, about identical lap times between himself and Turnmeyer this time round as well, so not much of a gain that I think he would have wanted, but now he's right in that toe of the 54 truck. He is looking for P number 2. We'll have to keep tabs on what the 70 of Doug Lemons does. He's fallen a lap down, obviously, from his pit stop, but we'll see what he does on the fresher tyres. But at the moment, Turnmeyer holding his own against the 16 of Keith Stewart, and Keith trying to get that spot done, and he's just not been able to gain that little bit of time. I think the times equalised. He sort of running the same time again, 31.835 from Keith Stewart, 31.886, so only 0.05 of a second between the two.
83 at Townsend last time by 7.70, so another few hundreds going the way of your race leader, who currently has himself a casual 3.5 second advantage, currently working lap number 36. We're only about 30 laps into this one, Jake, into this first run, which I think we can probably expect, like most of cookie cutters, 50 to 60 laps on a fuel run is probably about the range.
Yeah, probably around where we're looking for, but I think it's going to be tyres that are going to manage this one today, unless you want to stretch it for the full distance. Depends on how easy you've been early on the tyres to get a gauge on how long these guys are going to go for. Keith a little bit closer this time to Turnmeyer. Turnmeyer maybe struggled off of turn number 2 on the exit. This could actually open the door for that 16 truck to have a look, but he doesn't get the run into number 3 and 4, and he runs a weird line. He ran really high, then tried to cut it down on the exit. Keith didn't lose much time, but compared to Turnmeyer, it was really weird. They both sort of entered it the same, and then Keith just ducked it down when he wanted to. So different lines, different running around here at Atlanta, trying to see what they can get in, especially in these longer runs.
So looking up and down the field, your top 3, the only drivers currently logging laps in the 31 second bracket from Tim Marlowe on back. Everyone in the 32s, actually I take that back, the 87 William Toney last time, as well as Doyle Lawrence, both in the 31.9. So the 8 and the 87, Jake, they're currently trapped in the midfield, but they seem to be showing some good pace right now.
Showing some good pace, and that could be the way that they've saved their tyres early on, because Doyle Lawrence looking to the high side now. Frank Gamuglia in that 13 truck, this is for the 10th spot. He's going to try and see if he can go the long way round on the 13 through 1 and 2. He's got his nose there. He's about halfway alongside that 13 truck now, full truck length alongside the 13th, and he's side by side coming off the corner and uses that momentum to get the 10th spot. Good drive around the outside there from Doyle Lawrence, and now sets his sights on Doc Stout.
Well done by the drivers of the Folds of Honor number 8 machine as he works himself through corners number 3 and 4, moves himself up a spot, now sets his sights on the 29 of Sean Ryan. Doyle Lawrence, that's going to be a couple trucks in just a couple of laps, and right there, Doyle moves himself from about 11th up to 9th right there. That number 8 machine, Jake, is coming on strong here in this final stint, now looking to the inside of Doc Stout in the 62 as they come off of corner number 2 and down the back straightaway.
Yeah, good moves from Doc Stout now, from Doyle Lawrence. Now he's looking at Doc Stout, and he's on the high side is that 62 truck, trying to see if he can hold off that charging number 8, but at the moment the 8 of Doyle Lawrence is going to get that spot, and that's going to move him up into the 8th position. So a handful of trucks, like you said, Randy, and William Toney's actually following him through now. He's all over the back of Frank Gamuglia. He had a look going down the front straightaway, couldn't get the nose where he wanted to, so now he's going to try on the exit at 1 and 2. Looks like he's got the momentum, but he's just not quite there to stick the nose down the inside to get the job done.
Not quite close enough to get the job done, but let's keep an eye on your race leaders. Did anyone come down pit lane yet? No, they do not. So seems to me, Jake, that the 70 of Doug Lemons, we've seen him be strong through the tail end of this season, but he just seems to really like this short pit undercut strategy. We've seen him doing this all the time. We saw it at Michigan. I think we saw it at another track as well that I can't quite recall the name of. Why do you think he keeps trying this when it really hasn't quite panned out for him? There's been a couple times where he either just flat out loses a couple spots, or he really just ends up getting caught a lap down with a bad time to yellow.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, as right now Doug Lemons is actually working his way through this leading pack. That's Keith Stewart. He's just passing now with Turnmeyer as well, just in front of him. It's a weird one. It's all the time around that 30-odd lap marks on the cookie cutters. We see Lemons come down pit road, and it's just one of those things. And actually, as Lemons got through on the 54 of Turnmeyer, it's opened the door for Keith Stewart. Keith had a look going down off the exit of turn 2, but just couldn't get the momentum off the corner because the 54 ran the long way around that time. So it's just a little bit of an interesting aspect right now that those three have now bunched back up. But Lemons, it's just one of those things he does, comes down that 30-odd lap window and tries to use maybe an extra pit stop of speed to close down. But at the moment, he just doesn't have it. As Marlowe to the inside of Keith Stewart. So Marlowe's been the big beneficiary of the 70 coming through these two. Has really gained some speed, and now he's going to actually go to the inside of the 54 of Turnmeyer. He's going to get that one as well.
Well driven by the 28. He looks himself to drive from in one lap, 4th place up to 2nd. Well done by the 28 of Tim Marlowe, putting himself P2. They roll off of corner number 4, coming to lap number 45 of 130. And right now, if you're Tim Marlowe, you have to be happy with that one. It's actually 83 of Townsend comes down pit lane. 28 of Marlowe, then your effective race leader as scheduled stops begin to happen. I think when you expect, though, Jake, the 70 of Doug Lemons likely going to be the effective race leader when everyone cycles through.
Yeah, I think this will definitely be where he's at. Edward Zaghetti as well, coming into pit road. I think the 92s was on before Timmy Logwood Jr.'s size love as well, coming off pit lane, or coming in, sorry, to pit lane. I think that was the window where the tyres just fell off a cliff, because that speed has dropped off considerably for especially the front runners. They're starting to equalize now. As Townsend rolls off just behind that little battle at the moment that is for the race lead, that 3-truck battle going on, and that's Timmy Logwood Jr. to the inside. The 54's now dropped to the back of this pack, so Marlowe out in front. Keith Stewart now running in that 2nd spot. The 54 of Turnmeyer looks like he is coming down. He is, so bring that 54 as he gets passed by Townsend coming on the racetrack. Now going to see what he can do on those fresher tyres.
28 and the 16 should be coming down on a pit lane relatively soon here, Jake, because we've seen these guys, most particularly Keith, run this super long strategy in the past and not quite work out. Look at the run the 83 gets. The 16 gets a big one as well. But the 28 of Marlowe, not a good run through 1 and 2. The 16 of Stewart tried to take advantage, but with the big run the 83 of Townsend had, the 16 of Stewart had to let him through. I think with that, I'd be shocked if one of these two guys didn't come down pit lane right now. And here comes Keith Stewart on the pit road now, working lap number 47.
Wow, that pace advantage from Travis Townsend blew the doors off those two out in front, and that sort of shows that pace advantage that he's got at the moment on that fresher rubber, and he is using it up, because Doug Lemons, the effective race leader right now, he's sitting at around about a 6-second advantage over Travis Townsend, so a good call from Lemons at the moment, but we'll see how long he can last out in front. He might have to make that extra pit stop work as Tim Marlowe comes down pit road now in that 28 truck.
The 28 machine rolls down onto pit lane. A couple of trucks still waiting to cycle down on a pit lane. That's the 90 of Brent Day, as well as the 2 of James Torrey. We've not seen them roll onto pit lane for their scheduled stops. So right now, 70 of Doug Lemons runs 3rd, but the 2 as well as the 90 hoping for a yellow late in this stint. That should see most of these guys come back down on a pit lane.
Yeah, and the 8 as well is actually sitting out there in the 2nd spot, so he's trying to hope that he can get a little bit longer out of this run. And it's interesting knowing that he was actually really speedy during that sort of end of that run. To see him stay out and get blown the doors off with everyone else now, it might hurt his little bit of momentum that he had gained, but he's hoping that he can burn the rubber of these guys so that when he pits he can try and gain that advantage. As Brent Day, the 90, comes down pit road this time round, hands the lead back over to that 8 of Doyle Lawrence, and the 2 as well still out there. So the effective race leader right now, Doug Lemons, sitting in 4th.
You know that 70 machine has to be happy about that. And talking about the undercut here, Jake, let's look at the gap that Doug Lemons in the 70 has right now currently. As actually we might have had an issue. Bobby Stewart's trapped a lap down. Oh, they haven't pit yet. I'm not smart. I'm sorry. But the 70 Doug Lemons, 5-second advantage over Travis Townsend in the 83.
Yeah, it's a big advantage.
Wait, yeah, Bobby is a lap down because he should be on the lead lap with Travis. Right?
Bobby is, yeah. So something's happened with Keith Stewart. I'm going to have a look at that, see if I can figure out what went wrong there for that 16 truck. Maybe a secondary pit stop. Maybe he was caught speeding. Yeah, this looks like he was caught speeding. There's a long time that he's sitting in the box for.
Well, heartbreak for him as the 8 of Doyle Lawrence comes down onto pit road. 2 of James Torrey is going to stay out, but he's not going to have that lead for long, Jake. Doug Lemons, 2.4 seconds back, running nearly 1.5 seconds quicker every single time around. That 2 machine about to lose that lead really early as here comes the 16 machine of Bobby Stewart to unlap himself. And I think right now, if you're the 16 of Bobby Stewart, Jake, you have to be super happy with that because you just unlapped yourself in the truck that was leading a lap down. And the effective race leader of Doug Lemons just behind you, and you're on 10 lap newer tires. Now the 16, yeah, he's locked a lap down, but he should be able to stay out here and keep this lead lap.
Yeah, if he can keep this lead lap, should be in a good position. Yeah, it was a speeding penalty, but the looks of it, he was sat there for a long time after his pit stop, so that definitely put him behind where he wanted to be. And Lemons now 2.3 seconds, so that pace advantage is Townsend and Doyle Lawrence in that 8 truck. That was a little bit close for comfort for both of them. I think Lawrence just coming out of pit road and trying to get back onto the racing line and sort of was a little bit in the way of the 83 truck, but the 83 now, that gap's going to come down, I reckon, to about 1.5 seconds, 1.2 between Lemons and Townsend, so about a second gain in favor of that 83.
That it is. And what happened to the 54 Turnmeyer? Both the 16 and the 54 absolutely terrible pit stops. They both hemorrhaged about 10-15 seconds to the race leaders. As the 32 and the 58, that's Zaghetti and Brent Keith. They currently fight out there on the racetrack. 32 of Brent Keith's going to pick up the 4th spot. Yeah,
Keith's going to get that 4th spot ahead of Edward Zaghetti. And I just think overall people just staying out that little bit longer. Obviously the 54 stayed out longer as well, and it's just hurt. Townsend sort of picked the opportune moment at lap 45, and that was all it took for him to be able to get that advantage that he needed. Now it's really put him behind as he's already taken the race lead away from Doug Lemons through 1 and 2, and that just goes to show that little advantage had helped. But now Lemons is on the back foot for the rest of this stint. He's got a good 10-second gap back to Turnmeyer, but that gap will be coming down. So Townsend, now the effective race leader.
This is the thing I've not liked about the strategy calls that Doug Lemons has been making here, Jake, because you think, he's been doing about those 30 to 35 lap windows from what we've been seeing. Everyone else, just think about Travis Townsend being able to stretch that extra 10 to 11 laps or even 15 laps even going to lap number 45. That you can effectively cut a pit stop while staying on relatively decent tires. So you just go 45, 90, and then from there you should be able to make it to the end because it's only a 130 lap race. Compare that to Doug Lemons. If you're only comfortable in that truck for 30 laps, you have to pit on lap 30, lap 60, lap 90, and then you either have to stretch a long final stint, which you've already done an extra pit stop, or you have to come down again and get new tires, a light truck for fuel, and just essentially run quali laps for the last 10.
Yeah, it's an interesting call that Lemons does, and it just hurt him today. It's usually the first stop. The rest of them we see him run long, but that first stop just puts him on that off cycle, and it doesn't really help for the longevity of the race. So at the moment, good battle here between the 42, the 6, and the 87, the 63, sorry, right behind, all over the back of that 42 of Brad Patterson. A lot of damage there to the front from that earlier incident on that truck, and the 6 just dropping a little bit further back. That's Perry Snelson right now. The 63 and the 42 working different tyre strategies as well compared to others. The Snelson, I think, was one of the early ones to come down.
Yeah, I think you're right, but right now Doc's now leading that little pack with Patterson, Jameson, and Snelson rolling through 1 and 2, and Snelson, like you said, falling like a rock. But 63 and the 42 teammates roll themselves off of corner number 2 and into 3 and 4 here for the 58th time, quickly approaching halfway. Let's do a little bit of a field rundown. Travis Townsend, qualified 11th, currently leads with a 3.8 second advantage over Doug Lemons. Travis Turnmeyer runs 3rd, 10 seconds behind your race leader, 7 seconds behind Lemons, followed by Brent Keith and Sean Ryan. They round out your top 5. Interesting names to keep an eye on. 16 to Keith Stewart for sure, running in amongst the top 5 in the early goings. Early penalty, speeding penalty, has put him down into 17th. If he gets a little bit of a field reset or a long green flag run even potentially, he might be able to run his way through this field. A lot of things interesting happening in this one, Jake, in the final round of the first phase of the chase.
Yeah, final round of the first phase of this chase. And looking at the chase, Bart Marak, 52 laps down, qualified P2, but I don't think the qualifying points are going to help him, so he was only 21 points above the cutoff, so that might actually see him drop out, so that could give a spot to Doc Stout. Obviously no Brandon Holder here tonight, unfortunately, so
and
that's
no
going to hurt. Yeah, and no Britt, so Britt's out, Holder I think will be out, Marak will be out, so there's 3 out. So now it's just a battle between Everett F. Lane and obviously Tory Stout to see who will get that final spot in and who will not be out.
So 28 and the 29 currently fighting. Sean Ryan and Tim Marlowe, they're currently fighting for 5th and 6th. Pole sitter, the 28 of Marlowe, and the 14th place qualifier, the 29 of Sean Ryan. Currently dealing with a lap truck. That's the 2 of James Torrey. Torrey should be on some newer tires, but that 2 machine, Jake, after staying out long in that first run, hasn't really kept the pace the way we might expect. He's about 7/10 off the pace of that 28 of Marlowe.
Yeah, the pace just hasn't come to that 2 of James Torrey, has it? And it's really hurting him at the moment. Obviously came down, got the fresher rubber later on in that stint, and it's still just, it hasn't really turned the truck on, has it? It's really just still running around the same pace. Not where I think he'd want to be tonight, and especially being this phase of the chase, he'd want to make sure he could get in, but just unfortunately not got the pace that he'd want. He actually, coming out straight away, he was straight in the 31, so yeah, that new tyres, unless you change the tyre pressures, it has not helped. And there is a caution out on the racetrack. Truck spun on the back straight. That's Paris Nelson.
And Doug Lemons just came down onto pit road. Well timed by the 70 machine, but let's see what happened to Snelson first.
Oh, that's... Oh, okay, I got the end of it. So he clipped the wall coming off of turn 2, and I think he's tried to get it down, and he nearly got hit from the 13, and tried to avoid him and actually moved the truck to the high side and just got loose on him and lost it going down the back straightaway. So an unfortunate incident there for Perry Snelson. Just got the wall at turn 2.
If you're the 70 machine, Jake, you have to be breathing a huge sigh of relief. Actually, maybe not. We need to see what happens with the 70, because if the 70 gets a wave around right here, he's going to be your effective race leader. At least he should be. If not, Doug is going to have to take the wave around. He's going to have to restart here from the tail end of the field. Let's see what happens. As Townsend pits.
Yeah, Townsend's on pit road.
Wait, where's the...
stays out. Logwood Jr. stays out. So a couple of trucks coming down on the pit.
Did Travis just enter a closed pit? How come the field wasn't formed up? What happened?
The pace car's in turn number 1 at the moment.
But normally there's... Yeah, normally you get like a full lap before you get to the pace car. Or you get like a full lap where the pit lane is closed after you get formed up. This didn't happen. This almost, like, it was practically green flag pit stops.
That's a weird one. I'm trying to figure it out myself right now, having a look at Townsend and the way that obviously the pit cycle started from the caution, but he was not behind the safety car.
This is really weird. This is
very weird. It's just, he wasn't behind the pace car when he came down pit road, which I think's thrown a lot of people off. So whether or not the pit lane was open at that time and he just wasn't there, it's an interesting one. Most of the other field are lap trucks now. Oh no, some lead lap trucks as well. Sean Miller coming down pit lane right now. So Townsend, once the field cleanser, is the race leader. Turnmeyer P2. Once everyone comes through, Sean Ryan, who is still staying out, is now P number 3. So just a little bit of an interesting one out of the caution. No field turned up, and actually Lemons is stuck a lap down.
We should be able to get the wave around, right?
Should get the wave around,
yeah,
but
he is,
at the back of the pack.
Yeah.
That
hurts.
That's gonna hurt.
See, that's the thing. I don't think that would have been the case if we would have gotten like a normal yellow period. Because the pace car, what should have happened is the pace car should have picked up the 83. And I think Lemons should have gone around, I think. I don't know. This has been a weird one. With the way the pace cars on iRacing work, with them being automated, sometimes for those watching, you can get some yellows that if they come out at a weird phase based on where the leader is, something like this and something confusing can happen. This is just above me and Jake's knowledge of what in the world is going on. We're gonna have to log this in for the interviews, Jake.
This one's been a weird one, so but Townsend is still going to inherit the lead. Lemons and Tori, it looks like they're going to go for a wave around right now and see what they can get out of that, but that's going to put them at the back of the pack. So Lemons, that's going to hurt Lemons after such a strong run out near the front. That pit strategy hasn't helped. The lights are out on the pace car, so quick yellow. Townsend going to line up on the inside of the front row. Turnmeyer, sorry, on the outside. Two Travises going to lead us off for the restart.
So, lights go out on the pace car. Field gets itself formed back up here and working lap number 67 of 130. So, over half distance already complete in this one. What is going to happen, Jake? Who do you think's the favorite? How is Doug going to get himself back to the front? Bobby gets sort of bailed out with this one too. What are you thinking?
Well, we're just past halfway. Bobby. Yeah. So we're just past halfway. Obviously, Lemon's had a strong truck, so he's going to be difficult. Just working through the field, I think is going to be his biggest issue. Keith Stewart down in 13th. That's a long way to come from, even with a fast truck. So I think they're definitely on the back foot. Townsend. It's been Townsend again, so we'll see. Tim Marlowe's got some pace, maybe even Turnmeyer might be able to keep up with him and see what they can do on this restart.
So pace car going to get ready to come down on a pit lane. This is the third time we've gone green with a third different leader. 83 Travis Townsend gets on the gas pedal, and we are green again in the E-Speed hot lane at 200, working lap number 68 of 130. And Travis Turnmeyer, he has the 29 of Sean Ryan for company as they go down into 1 and 2. 29 machine is going to take that second spot away.
Good run from the 29 of Sean Ryan. Good jump, got the job done. Now up into P2. Brent Keith having a look as well on the inside of Travis Turnmeyer. He might be able to get that one done. He's got the overlap just enough, but he rolls out of it. The 54 throws it into 3 and 4. The 28 on the high side, he actually might be able to gain that spot on Keith, and he does around the long way. And Edward Zaghetti's thinking of doing the same on Brent Keith. So Keith, the low line, not really helping for that 32 at the moment.
It's not, as they work themselves through 1 and 2 for the 69th time this evening. Travis Turnmeyer has the 28 of Marlowe for company as they come off corner number 2. The 28 gets a bit of a run, looks to driver's left down the back straightaway into 3 and 4, and here comes Tim Marlowe down up against the white line through 3 and 4, and that 28 machine's going to pull up into the third spot, setting his sights now on the 29 of Sean Ryan and trying to get back to the rear end of the 83 of Travis Townsend.
Aggressive move from Tim Marlowe off of turn number 2. He threw it down the inside of that 54 truck. Did not want to waste any of that momentum, and now he's going to try and close that gap to the 29. Like you said, Randy, that's going to be a bit of an ask as they're starting to pull away a little bit out in front. Single file pretty much all the way through the field. People sort of formed up, got ready, and now we're going to see what they can do for the second phase of this race. The 42 having a look to the inside of Edward Zaghetti coming off of turn 4. Not close enough with the overlap, or he is just not there and able to get it done out in front. Ryan has actually closed right on the back of Townsend, and he's brought Marlowe for company.
That he has. Good fight happening here up amongst your top 4, top 5 as they work themselves down the back straightaway again. On for those who are interested on Keith Stewart watch, rolled off somewhere around 16th. He currently sits 11th, working the 63 of Glenn Jameson to get himself back up into the top 10. This lead group, though, coming off of 4. The 28 of Marlowe has a run on the 29 of Ryan. Down the front straightaway they come. Into the inside goes that green and black number 28 of Tim Marlowe into 1 and 2. Is he going to get clear? Yes, he is. 54 Travis Turnmeyer trying to follow suit. He gets the overlap on the 29 as well.
Yeah, he's going to get the overlap coming into 3 and 4, and he might actually get this spot done behind. There's a massive fight going on for that 5th position. The 54 gets the job done. Marlowe straight onto the back of the 83 of Travis Townsend behind Doc Stout, looking to the inside of Brent Day, and they're everywhere. There's trucks everywhere in that pack back there, but out in front, Marlowe all over the back of Townsend. He's definitely got a quicker truck in this early phase.
That he does. The 28 of Marlowe definitely looks bad fast right now, and really not surprised about that. How quick that truck was in qualifying makes sense. He'd be super quick on the short run as you see him try to get down to the inside of the 83. Almost a bit of a dive bomb he tried to throw there, Jake, but not quite able to get close enough to get it done, and he's not able to get a good run off the corner either the 28 of Marlowe.
28 of Marlowe was looking every which way to try and get this job done. The KPD truck out in front of Townsend, fighting him off hard at the moment. And the 28 of Marlowe looks to the inside, coming off of turn number 2. He gets some momentum, gets the run. Is he close enough? He doesn't quite have the overlap, but he's definitely there, and he's going to fight the 83 of Travis Townsend. Marlowe to the inside in the middle of 3 and 4. He got the run. Now can he hold it on side by side down the front straightaway? Townsend's going to lead that lap. Termeyer might actually be able to get amongst this as well, as Townsend's still fighting hard. He goes the ultra high line right up near the wall. Termeyer obviously behind, running middle, and Marlowe running low, still side by side. I think that momentum from Townsend allows him to hold on. Good driving from both of them.
Well done by the 83 of Townsend, up around the Larson line, and now he gets back down to the bottom. What can Tim Marlowe do in the 28? That truck didn't seem to really be able to hook down to the inside quite yet. They come across the stripe, and Travis Townsend's still going to be able to defend as the 54 starts to fall back just a little bit.
Yeah, 54 starts to fall back, but Termeyer not having that momentum and the speed that he needs to get amongst these two now out in front. Townsend again running that real high line. Marlowe runs a low line and drops back in behind into P2, but they're trying to search and figure out what they can do, who has an advantage over each other, and I think Marlowe definitely stronger through 3 and 4, but that ultra high line that Townsend's running on 1 or 2 is helping him be able to hold on to this lead at the moment. Termeyer, great bit of momentum off of turn number 4 through the front stretch. Townsend once again running that ultra high line, and Marlowe's actually followed him up this time. He's going to try and see if he can keep his momentum up and keep up with that 83.
Top 2 still fighting hard here for your race lead inside of 60 laps to go. Through 3 and 4 they come. And the 28 just working that middle groove. He just puts the right side tires above that groove, and he hooks the left sides underneath that seam down on the bottom through the front straightaway, and into 1 and 2 they come now. That gap just going to stay roughly equalized. Looking a little bit deeper in the field, side-by-side battles. Keith Stewart gets himself up to P7 around the 42 of Brad Patterson, who has Ed Zaghetti for company, followed by Glenn Jameson and Doyle Lawrence as they work themselves down the back straightaway. 63 looks to the inside of the 58 of Zaghetti and isn't quite able to get there, and he might pay the price for it. The 8 of Doyle Lawrence almost, I think, could have made the move, but a truck, the 90, way up high through 3 and 4, going to lose a few spots.
Yeah, the 90 way up high through 3 and 4, going to lose a bunch of spots. The 63 to the inside of Edward Zaghetti. This could be his momentum run and get that spot back on that 58 truck side by side through 1 and 2, keeping tabs on the race lead. They're coming up to some lap traffic at the moment as Termeyer has sort of closed that gap down to Townsend, but back to this battle. The 63 to the inside of the 58 gets that job done, and the 8's going to follow him through. That's Doyle Lawrence on the inside of Edward Zaghetti, fighting hard coming off of turn number 4. Still side by side down the front straightaway.
Mid-pack is insane, coming to 50 laps to go, and your E-Speed Hot Atlanta 200 through 1 and 2. Glenn Jameson currently works, trying to get to the inside of the 42 of Brad Patterson, fighting toward the tail end of the top 10, and Doyle Lawrence still all the while fighting with the end side of the 58 of Ed Zaghetti. However, the 8 machine doesn't get a good run, and he might have the 13 of Gramuglia for company. No, Gramuglia is going to fall in the line, and Jameson a little bit slow through 3 and 4. That's going to hold up Lawrence, but the 58, I think, overcooked maybe the exit, and the 8 gets a good run to the inside of that 58 machine.
The 63 still stuck on that inside. The 8 still side by side with the 58. The single file in front of him now. The 8 of Doyle Lawrence ran a little bit deep into 1 and 2, and that hurt his momentum. The 13th might be able to get a look going down the back straightaway. No, still side by side between the 58 and the 8. The 8 of Doyle Lawrence is doing everything he can on that low side. The 58 is holding on as they say that. The 3 and 4, that position is done, and the 58 is going to lose out on that battle. The 13th of Gramuglia now has got a little bit of an overlap, but if the 58 can get a good run through 1 and 2, might be able to shut that door off, but he's not going to be able to do so. In the 92, a lap truck, this could get in the way of the 58 on that high side. This could hurt his momentum. He's going to have to try and drop down in front of the 90. Can he do so? Yes, he can, so he's going to hold on to that position there, but he's lost a couple of spots over the past couple of laps, but this battle is intense.
All the while, fights happening up near the front. 28 of Marlowe was fighting with the 54 of Turnemeyer for second. Marlowe got loose on the exit of 4, moved that 54 machine up into the second spot through 1 and 2, but now the 54, he's going to get tight through the center of 1 and 2, and here comes the 28 machine of Marlowe back on the charge, trying to fire it back to get himself into that second spot. Down the back straightaway, though, the 54 has the momentum.
Yeah, good battles all the way through the field, and got a little bit loose that last time round. Marlowe, is he going to be tentative through 3 and 4? He isn't. He's going to see if he can try and close that gap. Oh, he's actually clipped the fence on the exit, or he was very close to it, and that's going to hurt the right side of that truck. He was definitely close to that wall coming off the corner. A little bit of a mistake there from the 28.
Not great if you're Tim Marlowe, but not a hard hit, so he should be able to keep this thing competitive here. Still side by side with the likes of Doyle Lawrence and Brad Patterson. This is for 9th. The 8 machine is going to get that spot. Well done. Moves himself comfortably into 9th place and gets clear. Now he sets his sights on the 63 of Jameson, as we still have about an 8 to 9 truck pack here through about 9th to about 16th, 17th.
Yeah, this pack is huge at the moment, running around that midfield. The 42 under a lot of pressure at the moment. That was from Frank Muglia going into 1 or 2, rolls out of it, didn't have the time. He's actually going to go high. He thought about going the long way around this time to see what he can do. He doesn't want to get stuck up there because Edwards Getty knows how that feels. With a good momentum off the corner, and he could actually, he's pulled alongside the 42 of Patterson. Goes the long way around. He might even get him through 3 and 4. The 42 still holding tough on that inside line. A lot of damage to the 42 is actually Doc Stout pits just in front of them in that 62 truck.
That's a little bit early for that 62 machine to be coming down onto pit lane, so an interesting call by him. Let's see what other people do and if they respond, because I think we're just in the window where we can maybe see the ultra undercut maybe just pan out. Keith Stewart, meanwhile, gets around the 32 of Brett Keith. He moves himself up into the top 5. And talking about this, Jake, one truck who has not been able to get through this field and been caught up in all this pandemonium, that's the 70 of Doug Lemons. He still rides in 13th, 14th.
Yeah, he's just coming into the battle now. He's right behind Brad Patterson with Brent Day on the high side, going around the long way on that 42 truck, who still has a lot of damage to the front of that truck after the first caution. And now the 70, seeing what he can do. And like you said, Randy, just hasn't been able to carve his way through the field as quick as we would have thought. And now he's still just stuck there in traffic, and it's really would have hurt his tires as well, trying to work his way through. At the moment, that battle has calmed down. The 90 is going to get the job done on the 42 coming off the corner. He is going to clear the 87 up high. That's William Tony. They're going to get clear of him. The 70 now had to wait. I think he had the momentum to get the job done. He's going to have to wait. Now he's going to go to the low side of the 42 through 1 and 2, and he should be able to get that spot done on Patterson going into 3 and 4.
70 of Lemons trying to start slicing his way through this field as that big pack just starts to fall away. It'll be interesting to see when Doug Lemons, though, comes down onto pit lane, because he came down pit road, of course, at the beginning of the last caution. I think we just had a truck in the fence. I think the 42 of Patterson, they caught that outside wall coming off of 4 after getting a little bit, no, he got tight actually, but he did get the fence on exit of 4.
Yeah, he got tight coming off of turn number 4. Actually lost some spots. Sideslove to the inside of the 70. Jason Sideslove been a little bit quiet tonight now down at the back of the pack and not able to get that job done. So the 70 just trying to hold on everything he can in front of them. Actually, Gamuglia to the inside of the 8. This is 4P number 8 at the moment. So the 13 truck going to try and get the momentum coming off the corner, and he has it coming down the front straightaway now into 1 and 2. Just not able to get the job done. He's going to push through the middle of 1 and 2, and that momentum on the high side is really keeping these trucks in, Randy, especially when they're side by side for this long.
That it is. You can really, we've seen both sides of the racetrack in this phase of the run work really well, as right now fighting happening. 16 of Keith Stewart and the 20 to Tim Marlowe. We just saw the high line work. This time 16 of Keith Stewart, he works the bottom, moved the 16 from about 12th on the restart back up into your 4th spot, only a few tenths off the 29 as well. That 16 is hooked up.
Yeah, Keith Stewart's been the real pace setter of this race, just hasn't had the track position that he would have wanted, and he is all over the back of that 29 of Sean Ryan already. It's like he's just been for fresh tyres, but he hasn't. It's just been the way he's been able to keep these tyres under check for the longevity of the run. And now looking to the inside of the 29 coming off of turn 4. I think the 29 may have just got a little bit close to the wall, and they want to go a little bit tight coming off the corner, and that is going to give all the momentum to the 16 and the Keith Stewart coming into 1 and 2. Move that 16 up into P3. He has gained at least 10 spots on the restart, and now he's setting his sights on the 2 out in front, the 2 Travises of Turnmeyer and Townsend.
That he is, and how will he be able to get there? Turnmeyer has been able to keep the 83 of Townsend honest through this stint, both basically running equal lap times every circuit around this racetrack. Last time through, 54 was quicker by about half a second, or excuse me, half a tenth rather, as the Travis Turnmeyer tries to reel in Travis Townsend. And Townsend, I think right now, Jake, for the first time in a while, he seems to be struggling trying to find where the grip is, as we have to be approaching the final round of pit stops, as we're about 30 laps into this run.
Yeah,
take that back, about 20
laps into that last round. Coming into it, Lemons hit the fence coming off of turn number 4 a couple of laps ago. He is on pit road. He pancaked the right side of that truck. He got loose coming off the corner, and it slammed hard going down the front straightaway, nearly caused a caution. So he is now on pit road getting that damage repaired, but his luck just goes from bad to worse, as that 70 truck just can't catch a break at the moment. But yeah, out in front, Townsend's really just lost that speed that he had in the early phase of the run, and Turnmeyer's been able to keep up with him. We wondered, well, I definitely wondered whether Turnmeyer would be there and be able to do something with it, but he's been able to do so, and now he's there, maybe able to have a little bit of a dig at that 83 truck out in front. 31.9 from Townsend, 31.8 from Turnmeyer, 31.8 as well from Keith Stewart. Look back to another battle between the 32 and the 28. Marlowe going the long way around now. Brent Keith going the high side of him, and he's trying to see if he can get the momentum off the corner, and Marlowe definitely has that. Keith, though, he's not going to give that spot up, and he's going to go hard into 3 and 4, and actually it looked like Marlowe just rolled out of the throttle there on the back straightaway there. A little bit of an interesting strategy there from Marlowe, and maybe that's because he's pitting.
Yeah, we have 3 trucks all coming down onto pit lane. Leader of Travis Townsend, 16 of Keith Stewart. You have the just behind as well, Tim Marlowe, 13 of Frank Gramuglia as well, all coming down onto pit lane. I was actually just about to start this conversation. Coming to 34 laps to go, Jake. You know that green flag stop is going to happen soon. Here, with just so few laps left, you have to essentially be the first one down on a pit lane to be competitive, as there's smoke and a truck blown up. The 87 of Tony come to a stop inside of 3 and 4 off the racing surface, but that's a popped motor. I think that thing overheated from early damage.
Yeah, I'd say that one had a lot of damage from before, and that one is day done, as everyone coming down pit road now around the same time. Everyone just trying not to give any advantage to any of their competitors. At 28 to 16, they now roll off. Where is Townsend in all of this?
Way ahead.
There he is. Yeah, he's miles ahead of those two. That's a massive advantage that Travis Townsend has over Keith Stewart and obviously Tim Marlowe. Marlowe actually jumped Keith Stewart in the pit stop. So was that another penalty from Stewart coming onto pit road? I'm going to have a look at
I don't think it was quite that bad. He hasn't given up that much time. I just think...
Oh, he rolled his box. He rolled his box by about a truck length. He was in the 44 box of Jason Sizlove, so he rolled his box, and that's going to hurt him.
Not ideal if you're that 16 machine of Keith Stewart, but final round of pit stops happening now. Quickly approaching 30 laps to go. Here's how they currently run. Jason Sizlove, Glenn Jameson, Ed Zagetti, Brad Patterson, Everett Lane are the top 5, but that's about to change. Sizlove hits the pit lane. Jameson hits the pit lane. Zagetti goes again. The Patterson goes again. Everett Lane comes down pit road. So your top 5, top 6, all cycling out, and Travis Townsend should re-inherit your race lead here in a few moments' time.
Yeah, should re-inherit his race lead, and Doc Stout came down actually during that phase early on in the run. He is just in front of Keith Stewart after his little bobble in the pit stops, so that sort of shows you how much of an advantage Doc Stout gained. He was around about that big battle pack that Keith sort of worked his way through early on, so that's where that is. Zagetti now coming down onto pit lane. Patterson stays outside. Love is still on pit lane from last time, so everyone should be funneled through now, and this lead should hand the lead back over to Travis Townsend, who right now has got a very comfortable lead of about 4 seconds over Travis Turnmeyer.
Yeah, well done by him again through the pit stops to pick up that race lead. Right now for the 42 of Brad Patterson, though, you have to be happy. It might be happening because of the pit stop cycle, but that 42 machine leading his first laps of the season. We saw him run strong at the super speedways last season, but this year not quite the same luck. Because when is that 42 machine going to come down pit lane? I think he's going to try to stay out as long as he can, Jake. I think he's going to hope for about a 10 to 15 lap run here. Hope that he's able to keep Townsend and Likes behind him until then, and then maybe catch a yellow to try to re-inherit in with these leaders with about 10 to 15 to go. Yeah,
I think that's really all Brad Patterson's hoping for, trying to get something out of this season in that damaged truck as well. Leading the 42, Brad Patterson. He's had a tough season, we do know that. He's had a tough couple of seasons, and at the moment he's going to go another one. So 17-second lead he has over Patterson, so if he's going to try and stretch it, he's got a bit of time, but Townsend is gaining around about 2 seconds a lap, so that's only going to give him a handful of laps right now for Patterson to try and get that quick caution and try and stay out in front.
So 42 of Patterson continues to work the old tire call fight happening again on the racetrack. 54 and the 28, they found each other once again as they worked themselves down your front straightaway. Keith Stewart also relatively close to the back of Brent Day. We know that 16 machine has been quick. I think Keith is going to get there before the end of this one. But regardless, second and third close down the back straightaway. Into 3 and 4 they come. Tim Marlowe been roughly equal the last couple times. Who's going to get P2 by the end of this, Jake? Tim or Travis?
Tim's got this early pace speed on the tires that no one else does at the moment. And that's really what's been able to help him close down these gaps and get to where he wants to. Then Termine comes into his own, and we saw that in that stint where he was all over the back of Townsend, sort of kept him up with him and maybe gained a little bit of time during the middle of the run. So I think now this is definitely a Marlowe phase of the run where Marlowe's going to be stronger and may challenge for that second spotter, but I think over the longevity, Termite is going to hold on as that 42 now comes down pit road and gets his 4 tires and gas for the end. So that cleanses the field, and Travis Townsend will re-inherit the lead around about a 6-second gap over Termite.
So 83 of Townsend comfortably out in front. Turnmeyer second, still fighting with a 28 of Marlowe, but he's done a good job the last couple laps to be able to stretch a bit of a gap. And the 90 of Brent Day still has a 16 of Keith Stewart behind him, reeling him in by about a tenth and a half every single lap around this racetrack. This race is just sort of toned down a little bit, hasn't it, Jake? From that, after we got that last yellow, we saw that big gaggle of trucks in the mid-pack. For the most part, everyone's got themselves pretty much just spread out, and the 83 at Townsend, oh, caution out there on the racetrack, not sure where this, oh, big incident in 3 and 4, and Townsend gets involved and catches a piece of it.
Oh, Townsend got a massive involved in that one. The 56, having a look at that one, the 56 got loose. Patterson came back up onto the racing line after the pit cycle. Ooh. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Let's see, how far off pace was this 42 machine? As you're pretty much right, although did something, he definitely did, but Sean Miller, oh, okay, so, I mean, yeah, there's just a massive pace differential, and Sean Miller tried to go around the 42 machine and just got loose, and I hate to say it, Brad kind of LePaged the field there.
I don't know whether he did, he was just coming back out, but Miller just got loose trying to get around him. It's an interesting one.
Also, wait,
but
this pace card thing's happening again. Travis just pit, Townsend just pit, Turnmeyer doesn't, Marlowe does.
Well, Townsend definitely has to come down pit road. He got a lot of damage from that one. That's going to hurt that truck.
Oh, but what I mean is the field didn't even get a chance to catch the pace car again, and pit lane opened up. So that's really weird.
Well, pit lane is open, and people are taking that call at the moment. And Townsend has been dominant all race, and right now he is just sitting on pit road, getting as much of that damage repaired as possible. And I think that's going to hurt him. His chances of getting a second win, at least he has got that win early on in this phase of the chase at the first round of this chase, but now looking to get a second one, and unfortunately stuck on pit road with a lot of damage.
So drama here at the end. of this one. Caution comes out inside of 30 laps to go, and the 83 of Townsend is out of his vehicle, likely getting repairs. I don't think that was a hard enough hit that it should put the 83 out for good. I think he likely could come down pit lane. Interesting call here. 54 of Turnmeyer comes down pit lane, but for the first time, as we're inside of 30 laps, we're going to step aside as this caution flows through. Give us just a few moments, catch our breath. We'll bring you the last 20 or so laps of your eSpeed Hot Atlanta 200 here from Atlanta. Don't go away.
When I sat in the car, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? You know, it was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. You know, my thoughts were, wow, this is really good for our first time in a car. I was really surprised by it. You're sitting low. You got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshield's at steep angles. You can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?
Lights are out on the pace car, just about inside 20 laps to go. 21 to go is what it's going to be when they get the green flag. But regardless, a lot of interesting names here up amongst your top five. Tim Marlowe and Keith Stewart 1 and 2. Brent Day, Brent Keith third and fourth, with Doc Stout and Frank Gramuglia 5th and 6th. Jake, a lot of interesting names found themselves into the top five here in the late stages of this one.
Yeah, all the strategy has worked itself out. People have found where they want to be towards the end, and right now that's where they want to be, right near the front. And going to be an interesting restart. 28 and Keith Stewart being up there on that high side, he's going to be quick.
iRacing safety car comes down onto pit lane. 28 of Tim Marlowe again in command of the field. Green flag back in the air. 21 laps left of your eSpeed Hot Atlanta 200, and Tim Marlowe, we know, has an amazing early run pace, but that 16 of Keith Stewart seems to just be able to maintain speed later on in the run. You see the 28 of Marlowe stretching out to a big early advantage. Let's see if the 16 is going to be able to reel that back in over the course of this final 20 or so laps.
Marlowe caught everyone sleeping. He's gone. He's pulled out 5 truck mates already. Everyone was just nowhere near on that restart day. Having a look to the inside of Keith Stewart. He's got Brent Keith for company behind him as well. And Brent Keith looks like he's going to go to the inside in that 32.
Oh, caution!
The momentum coming up for turn 4.
Take that back. We're not. We're going to stay green. They're the big two spinners. Burt Wilson and Travis Turnmeyer both spun down through the infield, but they keep it going straight. Almost a big incident. I thought there was going to be a yellow there. Sorry for bad call.
That's all right. And unlucky for Turnmeyer to be back in that, having such a strong run tonight, getting loose, and that's all she wrote for him as well for tonight. And now Marlowe comfortably half a second gap over Keith Stewart. Go back to live pictures out in front. Brent Day now third, sitting behind Brent Keith. Doc Stout as well. So single file out in front between the top 6, and Keith having a look, got the momentum coming off the corner. He stuck his nose out. Day went to block. Day's going to go massively defensive going into 3 and 4 and show Keith the outside into 3 and 4. And Keith thinks better of it, drops down. Maybe going to try and get the momentum coming off the corner to go down the inside. He does so and gets the overlap, and doing so, Stout runs on the grass.
Doc Stout putting 2 tires off on driver's left And you talked about that 54 machine being lucky, Jake. Well, I'm going to disagree. The way he spun, he actually came through pit lane. He would have gotten himself an unsafe pit entry black flag. He is currently down, serving that as we speak, as Tim Marlowe has stretched himself out to a 6/10 of a second advantage. The 28 of Marlowe has had such an up and down year, has had good runs, but has struggled to put good finishes together. I think we've only talked to him once or twice all season long as we're working round number 20. Right now, inside of about 15 laps to go, he has himself the race lead and it is stretching the gap.
Yeah, he is stretching that gap, that truck, as we've mentioned all night long. Quick on the short runs, and he's using it right now. Doc Stout having a look on the inside of the 32 of Brent Keith. Can he get the job done? Into 3 and 4, side by side with that 32 truck on the high side. Stout has had a good, strong run. Not the best qualifying position, but this could easily put himself inside that chase with other people falling to the wayside inside that top 8. And now he's going to get the run into 1 and 2 and get the job done on that 32 of Brent Keith. Gamuglia having another look as well. He might think about getting inside that top 6.
Fights happening right now as Gamuglia currently trying to get to the back end of the 32 of Brent Keith, not quite able to do so. Doc Stout just ahead of Keith with Brent Day just out in front. Keith Stewart starting to stretch a gap over that second pack, running 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and trying to reel in the 28 of Marlowe. Looking at the lap times last time round, Marlowe again stretches another 1/10 of a second advantage over Keith Stewart. Jake, I think Tim Marlowe has himself a comfortable enough lead. He just needs to keep pushing the way he is, but not dig too deep. I think the tires will come back in his favor, but he's only going to have about 8 laps, I think, to work with to reel in Marlowe and get the move done.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for Keith to get this one done. He's going to have to hope that the tires that Marlowe's using up now is going to hurt him in that later stage of this race. Still around about 13 odd laps to go, 14 odd laps to go, sorry. Now out on the racetrack, and 62 is Stout to the high side of the 90 of Brent Day around 1 and 2. He's going to try and use that momentum off the corner to try and get that job done, going into 3 and 4. Not close enough. He's lost that little bit of an overlap as Brent Day nearly tried to cut him off going to 3 and 4. Now Stout has to think of another way to get around that 90 as he's lost a couple of truck lengths there behind, though. Brent Keith under a lot of fire from the Brent Gamuglia in that 13.
Keith Stewart starts reeling the gap in. 1/2 a tenth is what he brought it down last time through. Gap is now inside 9/10 of a second. That's good news. Through the 16 of Keith Stewart, Brent Day, Doc Stout, Brent Keith still very close. Actually, the 62 and the 32 have separated them. Excuse me, the 90 and the 62 have separated themselves from the 32 and the 13. And here comes Gamuglia up the inside of the 32 of Brent Keith off of corner number 4, logging lap number 118 complete. They're going to be side by side at the stripe. Brent Keith is able to nose ahead, and he maintains the advantage, but the 13 has a good line down into 1 and 2 as 32 throws it hard into 1 and 2 up on the outside, but he's not going to quite be able to make it stick. The 13 noses out in front, but the 32 works the momentum on the top line. Doyle Lawrence, though, just watching just behind them all the while, hoping to follow the 13 of Gamuglia through.
Yeah, Doyle Lawrence, I think he was looking to make it 3 wide coming off the corner. He's got pace and he wants to use it right now all over the back of both the 13 and the 32, and they're sort of losing time to the guys in front of them inside that top 5. They're trying to fight so hard for this 5th spot, and Gamuglia is going to get it done on Keith. He is, and now Lawrence, that opens the door for him in the 8 and the 32. Lost momentum coming off the corner off turn number 2. That's going to hurt him. He's going to drop a bunch of spots on the high side. Jamieson through, Lawrence through, and I think that's also Sean Ryan through. Yes, clear of the 32 now. So from that 6th spot all the way down to 9th.
Not ideal, as right now the fight for 3rd and 4th is starting to heat up just a little bit. Brent Day and Doc Stout as they roll through 1 and 2. We're now inside of 10 laps to go here at Atlanta. They come down the back straightaway, and Brent Day still has the advantage over Doc Stout. Interesting to note, Keith Stewart and Tim Marlowe continue to trade lap times. One will go quicker one lap, the other go quicker the another lap. And if you're the 16, that's not what you want to see. If you're the 28 of Marlowe, Jake, that's fine for you.
Yeah, if you're Tim Marlowe, that's what you want to see. And at the moment, they've got lap traffic for this 3rd and 4th battle. Day has got Stout all over the back of him, and that 62 truck, he is looking high, he's looking low, he's looking everywhere to see how much of a momentum and a switch he can get on this 90 truck. He definitely has the pace to do so. He's just right now unable to put the truck where he wants, because the 90 of Brent Day is putting it in the perfect spot to stop that run from the 62. Now, can the 62 go down or high? He can't, coming off the turn number 4, but he's there. He's definitely there, and he's going to be pushing nearly the back of that 90 truck into turn 1.
I said just a few moments ago, the 16 of Bobby Stewart, I think he would get the advantage, but I think he'd only have a few laps to work with. Last time by, Keith Stewart, 0.2 of a second is what he took out of the 28 of Tim Marlowe. And this time they roll into 3 and 4. The gap continues to come down. The tires for that 28 seem to have just dropped off here in the 16. Seems to be strong. 2 trucks getting into the wall. Then Doc Stout in the 90 of Brett Day. Is Marlowe in the wall as well. 16 of Bobby Stewart going to take the race lead through into turn number 1. Inside of 10 laps to go.
Marlowe clipping the fence. The battle for P3 is on. Day is pushing the 62 to the limit on the turn number 3 and 4. He was using all the racetrack and more. The 90 is going to have to jump in behind the 62. Good drive job around the outside. Good defensive play from Brett Day. He was using up the racetrack and more to hold on. Can he have another dig back at the 62? But he's definitely got the speed. Tim Marlowe now, a lot of damage dropping behind Keith Stewart after clipping that fence off of turn 4. But Day all over the back of Stewart now, trying to see if he can get that spot back.
Trying to, the 28 pushing hard. I think right now if you're Tim Marlowe, you just have to count your blessings here, Jake. You come into this one running 6th or 7th in the points. Top 8 get themselves in. You get the pole, and you're in a good position to finish P2. Even with the traffic, is Brett Day up into the right of the wall, ultra high line. He's going to fall back into 4th and lose the tail end of Doc Stout. And now he has the 13 of Frank Gramuglia. He has to keep in mind inside of 5 laps to go. Brett Day in the 90 needs to this point stop looking out the windshield and just concentrate on the mirror. I think the 62 is too far out in front. Just retain this top 4 that you have.
Yeah, I think he just needs to sort of sit there and just stay in that position. He was fighting that 62 really hard. Could have burned up the tires. Gramuglia now will be closing that gap, but unfortunate now that we have a little bit of a break, the 28 clipping that fence. Not the first time Marlowe has hit the right side on the trucks coming off of a corner, and it's hurt him this time. Stewart now out to a great advantage of around about 1 second with 4 to go. It's definitely put Keith in the prime position to take this one, and now 90 of Brent Day got Gramuglia for a lot more company than he had before for this 4th position. And let's see what Gramuglia can do in the 13th. He's been a long drought for the 13 truck, but he's right there now, and he's going to be all over the back of the 90 coming off turn number 4.
Fighting for 4th place here out there on the racetrack, and the 28 of Marlowe, his days are numbered potentially as well, but we'll stay with this 5th place battle as Brett Day stays defensive through 1 and 2. The 13 of Gramuglia tries to work a bit of a cut back and cut under to try to get the 1, but it doesn't quite pan out. He couldn't maintain the momentum through the exit of the corner. The fight for 2nd is heating up as well. The 28 of Marlowe has the 62 of Doc Stout for company. They're coming off of 4, coming to 2 laps to go. The 90 of Brett Day has the 13 of Gramuglia inside as well. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. None of those positions decided yet inside of 2 laps to go.
Yeah, none of these positions are decided, and the 13 to the inside of the 90 of Brent Day. He's going to drive up the racetrack, use a little bit more than I think he wanted to, got tight. Marlowe's still holding on. Gramuglia's going to have to wait for another chance to get the job done. Stout moves aggressively to the inside of Marlowe for P number 2. He's going to get the momentum into turn number 3, and he's going to try and hold it down on that low line. Marlowe on the high side, going to have to drop him behind with that damage, and that moves Doc Stout up into P number 2, qualified down in 15th position. We were talking about it early on in the race, and he's done a good job right now to hold on to that. Day looks like he might be able to come around. The white flag is in the air. Keith Stewart, though, on the back straightaway, half a lap to go.
Down the back straightaway for the final time. Doc Stout is clear in 2nd. Brent Day clear as well in 4th as they work themselves into 3 and 4 for the final time. Doc Stout still comfortably running P2. Tim Marlowe, does he have the truck underneath him to retain P3? The 16 of Stewart going to come across the stripe and win, and the 13 of Gramuglia gets loose, gets into the wall, but he's going to retain that 5th position. Frank Gramuglia pushing hard to get everything he can, and he puts it into the wall. Doesn't gain anything. We got 2 more trucks upside down as well in the grass. That is Doug Lemon's upside down. There was another truck I saw flipping as well.
Yeah, another couple of trucks getting loose and losing it on the end of the race. Yeah, the 70, I think that's Perry Snelson as well. Looks sideways after that one. Wondering what happened there. Was that the 70? Yeah,
Doug
70 just got loose.
Oh, Doug just lost it and clobbered the wall. He was pretty loose after that truck was in the air. That truck began spinning like a top. but still, I don't think anyone loses any positions because of that melee, so that's good. But all of that said and done, the 16 of Keith Stewart, he's not burning them down, but he just has that truck parked right now out there on the front straightaway, currently just chilling quietly. Let's see, does he start doing burnouts? Yes, he does. 16 machine starts burning them down here. Race winner for your eSpeed Hot Atlanta 200, 2 in a row for the 16 of Keith Stewart.
Yeah, great drive from the 16 of Keith Stewart. 2 in a row, comes away from Lachlan's Glen with a win. That locked himself into the second round of the chase, and now locks himself comfortably into that second round, takes that win and moves on that advantage. Stout, great drive to come home with P2. Marlowe, it's been one of those seasons for Marlowe this year.
So with that, let's go down your post-race results for your eSpeed Hot Atlanta 200. Keith Stewart comes away as your race winner for the second week in a row. Didn't get a single race win in the first round of the championship. Gets 2 races won in the 3 races of first phase of the chase. Doc Stout comes home second. And Keith just popped his motor. Now, luckily, he's used to working on fuel cards, so he'll have that puppy rebuilt in about 10 minutes. But Doc Stout comes home second. Tim Marlowe third. Brent Day fourth. And Frank DeMuglia rounds out your top 5. Sean Ryan in 6th. Doyle Lawrence 7th, Brent Keith 8th, Jason Sizlove in 9th, and Edward Zaghetti. They're going to round out your top 10. Glenn Jameson 11th, James Torrey 12th, Everett Lane 13th, Perry Snelson 14th, Burt Wilson 15th. Those 15 trucks all finish on the lead lap. Travis Townsend 16th, Turnmeyer 17th, Logwood Jr. 18th, 19th, Brad Patterson, 20th, Sean Miller, 21st, Doug Lemons, 22nd, William Toney, 23rd, Bart Marak, and 24th, Aaron Ames. Don't go away. Post-race coverage beginning in just a few moments' time here on RaceSpot TV and iRacingLive. Stay with us. That's going to be interesting to talk to all these guys. Don't go away.
Hi guys, I'm Scott Speed, driver of this amazing Volkswagen Beetle GRC car. I got good news for the iRacing fam. We got this coming in. I'm currently working on it myself personally to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. With the addition of dirt and now this mean car, it is gonna be so fun. And it's gonna be available free to all the iRacing members. Personally, I can't wait to get out there and race you guys on it.
Welcome back to RaceSpot TV and iRacingLive. Hope you guys appreciated one of the ads for one of the most exciting announcements that's happened recently, that Volkswagen World Rally Championship Beetle. That's going to be a really, really interesting car to run and to drive, and most importantly, well, if that ad was anything to believe, free for all members. But let's start talking about these cars in this race. We need to talk to the 16 race winner, Keith Stewart. Keith, we've never been in this position. You're the race sponsor and you're the race winner as well. What do you got to say to yourself?
It's kind of an oddball situation, isn't it? Boy, what a race! I've, new build yesterday, yesterday, and testing last night a little bit, not much. Didn't get a lot of time in, and I don't know, man. Just got it done from the back to the front a couple of times. That was a lot of fun. But I'd like to dedicate that race win to Brandon Holder's family, and he lost his father Monday, I believe it was. So that's for Brandon Holder and his family.
Yeah, that message rolled across my inbox earlier in the week, and that was a bit heartbreaking. Super bummed out for Holder. Probably explains why he's not here today. But Bobby, you have to be super ecstatic with this. You don't get a single race win through the entire first round of the championship in the normal phases of the season. Come into the first phase of the chase, and you lock out 2 of the final 3 races. I don't think anyone ran 1-2 in any one phase last season, if I recall correctly. How did that feel?
Well, it feels pretty good. I mean, there's, a couple holes in the field, obviously, with Brandon not being here. I really think he would have been strong here at Atlanta tonight. His other teammates ran really good, and, I know their hearts were aching for him and the situation he's going through, but I don't know. I'm astounded. I mean, a lot of guys, really went to work on that update last night. Some of them got 5, 6, 7 guys on a team, and I do it all by myself. So apparently a one-man band can still win in this deal, and do it twice in a row. That's unheard of for me. Everybody knows that follows the series, so I'm just over the moon right now. Don't even know what to think, but and obviously too, Chris Britt is. I'm not really sure what the situation is, but he's a definite contender, and something had to happen to Townsend tonight, but I have no idea what it was. I think he pretty much had the race in the bag.
Travis got caught up in that that late race caution that came out. He just wrong place, wrong time, no fault of his own. But one last thing, Bobby, you're burning him down there, and you popped that motor. Do you still have the old top fuel skills and be able to get that motor reassembled in about 10 minutes?
Boy, you know what? Yeah, it's like riding a bike, and I do remember how to do that. So, but it was a little bit of a. I mean, I taped it up for that last run, but not enough to blow it up. But it warm weather, and it just got hot there. And I looked down, and it was at 303 degrees. I said, "Whoa, I better drive off here." And boom, it blew up.
Well done for you today, Keith. Bobby, I'm going to be confused for the next few weeks. Don't worry about that. But before we let you go, who'd you like to thank? Any shout-outs tonight?
Yeah, thanks, man. Raven Grafixx, Lone Star Rod and Customs, the guys at Glove Box Racing. I'd like to thank the whole field that comes and races. Just appreciate them being a part of it, and this season's been a bit of a challenge for various reasons, and we're just happy to have this series, and looking forward to the championship chase, especially now, and I will say one thing about that real quick is a lot of people may have said, well, why he's locked in, why is he up there racing so hard for a win and trying to get through the pack? Well, because that's 3 points onto my chase total going into the next round. So, once you win and lock in, it's not like, hey, just cruise. You want those points for winning so that you can have a better run in the second round. So that's what that was all about. But thanks to you guys for covering the deal.
Of course, we always love doing it. We hope to see you run strong next week. Bobby, running to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Hopefully that 16 with the new build still has some pace.
Yeah, we'll see. First race is always weird, so I'm sure everybody will be on their game by then. But thank you a lot, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. We're now going to move on to the second place finisher, Jake. For the first time in a while, you're stood by with the 62 of Doc Stout.
Yeah, for the first time in a while, I'm going to be stood by here with the 62 at Doc Stout. And Doc, not the best qualifying effort for you, but what a race to come away with that second position. That pit strategy call that you made around that midway to come down a little bit early definitely paid off. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, it's had a blast, man. It was a fun race. The build. It was mind-blowing yesterday. Got our hands around it, and man, yeah, it was fun. I'm tickled to death.
It definitely looked like you guys have a lot of fun out there. The racing was definitely a lot harder. And how did you feel battling that 90 of Brent Day? That was a tough fight. He definitely was forcing you around some spots and doing it around the high side. You got that one done quite easily at the end.
We had a pretty good set under us for a longer run. I think they probably knew that too. It wasn't the first time we've been on track together this week, but they definitely made it tough. It was clean racing, hard racing. I enjoyed it. Looking forward to next week. But while this is all happy and everything for me, heart's kind of heavy for one of ours. lost a loved one, and at the end of the day, that's more important than this. And just want him to know if he's listening or anything. We got him in our prayers, and we're thinking about him, and hurry back.
Yeah, we're all thinking about him in that 31 truck, and hopefully we can see it back out on that racetrack soon. And Doc, it's one of those things that obviously we're all thinking about him, but going to next week, that would have locked you into the chase. Heading into Vegas now, obviously you're praising the new build. Do you expect you can keep this one up for next week there at Vegas, being another cookie cutter?
Wow, I don't really see why not. Just keep doing what we've been doing. It worked. Travis, he had bad luck there. I don't know exactly what happened yet, but just everybody will step up their game. I'm sure it ain't going to get no easier from here on out. I ain't going to really sweat it. Just keep plugging away at it, and it'll shake itself out.
It's definitely going to shake itself out. It's going to shake itself out with a bit of excitement at the end of it. Well done, Doc. Once again, a strong second place finish here today. Any shout outs, anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yes, sir. First, I'd like to thank Doyle Lawrence with Raven Grafixx. They put in a lot into this series, and a lot of it goes unnoticed by the majority, but it's a lot goes on. Brad Patterson with Innovative Fab Works, James Torrey of Lone Star Rod and Customs. I want to thank GBR for the Hard Luck Award, Bobby Stewart for all the work that he does to keep this thing together and put up with all of our egos, and the job that y'all do on the broadcast, man. This is one of my highlights, is to watch the broadcast the next morning. Y'all keep up the good work. We're going to keep on doing what we're doing, and we'll see you in Vegas. We're going to play some blackjack.
Yeah, we are definitely going to have some fun in Vegas. Well done again, Doc. Hopefully you can have another strong one next week.
Thank you.
That was Doc Stout, our second place finisher, and Randy, we'll chuck it over to you now with our 28er, Tim Marlowe.
Yeah, I'm stood by with the 28 machine. Tim, I know you're probably happy with the points for the pole and the points for P3, but that has to be a sour way to end this one after the way you were looking with 10 to go.
Oh my God, yes. The build, I'm glad we finally get a new build. All the sets are junk. You have to rebuild. Yes, it's a lot of work, but I've been really wanting this for a while, even in the thing out. But I like the way the build came out. I mean, you could search around on the track now. But yeah, I thought it was in the catbird seat. I don't know what happened to Travis, how he wasn't up there. But when the caution came out and I ended up coming off the pit road and I'm in the lead, and I was like, how did this happen? I knew I had a good short run set, and I'm like, what? How did I get here? And I knew I was in a good catbird seat, and I should have put a little bit more fuel in it. It's got a little bit too tight on me in the end there, and I pushed it when I seen Bobby trying to close in. I'm like, come on, and I went a little bit too hard in, and it caused me to push out. If I'd have got out of it, I think I could have held it.
Well, definitely unfortunate, but still, I think coming away from today, I think after a performance like this with a couple people not showing up, as well as, you come away with the pole and finish third in points. This is, really can't write up a better points day, really. I think you should be pretty much safe going into the next phase of the chase. So Vegas, Dega, Richmond, those are the three races we have up next on this for the championship here in your Raven Grafixx East Contender Series. How are you feeling about those three racetracks?
Better than I did these last three. Whenever the season schedule first came out this season, I seen that road course on there, and I said, well, I'm out the first round. So then when I actually got there and got my cockpit built and everything's comfortable now, and I did pretty decent at a road course. I was like, that's not me. So I was like ecstatic to even have a chance to do good at a road course, and then get out of here tonight with a decent run, and points will be good. I think I'm better off going into the next three than I was going into these first three.
Now, a lot of you guys, coming through this season, a handful of you guys who ran strong all season, you're one of those names. Bobby Stewart's a name. even Bart Marax, another one who throughout this season struggled to get wins, if even got anyone at all, through the normal phase of the championship. And then coming into this part, late in the season, Bart gets a win, and then Bobby gets 2 of the 3 races in this first phase of the chase. What is it about you guys being able to put it all together here late on in the run? And of course, today you definitely were in position to win, but just that small mistake took you out of it, just dropped you back to P3. What is it about your patience that pays off late on in the show?
Actually, coming into this race before the build came out, I'm like, I seen how fast some of these other guys were. I was decent, but in the long run, I wasn't what these guys had. I didn't think I had anything for them because before the build, everybody had so much even sets. So I had to put this together and got it pretty comfortable. And I've been really wanting this because there's so many sets out there, and everybody was even, not dead even, but there was a lot of close, fast cars, and it made it real hard. And it's just good.
Well, congratulations, Tim, on the 3rd place. Definitely, like I said, solid points day for you. Before we let you go, any shout-outs? Who'd you like to thank?
First, before I thank anybody, I want to say send out my prayers and best wishes for everybody over there at Brandon Holder's family. And that was one team member at Randall Fox Racing that had a death this week, but we also had Jason Lupo. He had a 16-month-old nephew that has drowned this past week too. So it's hit our team with two people. So our hearts go out to both families.
Wow.
I also want to thank Green Earth Services with Mikey Earnhardt, sponsor of my truck. Everything y'all do is great over at Raven Grafixx, and all the Hard Luck Awards I've won this year. Thank Glove Box Racing too.
Well, you'd be up for one after hitting the wall, but Travis Dunn took it away from you, so you can go yell at him for that one. But thanks for joining us, Tim. Hope to see you run strong next week out in Vegas.
Yeah, thank Tim for it. Thank you.
No problem. Jake, you're now up again. You're stood by with a 90 of Brent Day.
Yeah, I'm going to be stood by with a 90 of Brent Day, and Brent, not in the chase, but it doesn't matter. You are mixing it up with those guys out there and giving a hard old fight to all of them. Tell us about that one.
That was a fun battle there at the end. It was a good, tight, clean race in there with Doc. A really fun run there. Didn't want to see the last yellow come out. I think it would have been a little easier for me if it didn't. He was on a little older tires under that pit cycle, and I just made a bad adjustment there at the end, and it tightened it up just a little bit too much for the final run.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a little bit it just went away from you sort of at the end of that run. And do you think that was more with these new tyres? Was that more the tyres, or do you think that setup, just that little change did hurt it just enough that now just a little adjustment can really swing this car? Because like Doc said as well, Marlo, and like you're moving around, you're trying to search for more on the racetrack. Is that what you feel like there with the racetrack now?
I think we're just pushing it a little bit harder there at the end with that battle, and that used up a little bit more rubber. I got stuck up there on the high side a little bit more towards the end, and that may have contributed to a little bit. There weren't many people who were able to run up there for an extended period of time, so I think that might have impacted it. We really scrambled a lot yesterday trying to find something that would work okay for the long run, and a really good team effort there to get something really pretty solid under us.
Definitely something solid, because come away with a 4th place finish after qualifying in 17, not your best qualifying effort, but definitely to come away with that top 5. It definitely bodes well for you guys heading into the rest of this championship. Even though you guys aren't in the chase, you still want to be fighting out there for wins, and that's the way you're going to go about it. But how do you think, obviously, this new truck, this new build, sort of changing it all around, how do you think it's going to go heading into other cookie cutters, and obviously maybe even some of the longer racetracks that we have left on the schedule?
It's going to be interesting, even with this race. It's a little bit different of a racetrack, so not sure how much of that we learned tonight will transfer over, but we'll be doing a lot of testing, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely a lot of testing will be needed from everyone heading into the future, but well done, Brent, on a solid run. It's come at a good time heading into next season. Any shout-outs, anyone you'd like to thank?
I got to thank the people that make it happen, Bobby Stewart for organizing the whole thing, Raven Grafixx, Lone Star Rod and Custom, GBR for the Hard Luck Awards, RaceSpot, you guys for the broadcast work that you do. It's really fun to go and watch these things afterwards. And then obviously the team that I've started working with has made a huge difference in performance. So those guys, Ed Sketty, Aaron Ames, Ivan Schrum, Sean Miller, have been extremely beneficial. I also want to mention JDRF.org, which is a Diabetes Research Foundation. We run the name on our truck to bring a little bit of awareness there. And then also want to just mention Brandon Holder's family too, that we're thinking about him.
Yeah, definitely a sad day in our series for everyone, but great job tonight, Brent. Hopefully you can keep this up next week at Vegas.
Thank you.
That was our 90th Brent Day coming home in 4th position, and now, Randy, we'll chuck it over to you for our final interviewee, the 13th of Frank Gamuglia.
I've stood by with the 13 indeed, and Frank, what a run that was from you. Qualifying, definitely not ideal. 22nd in a 24 truck field. How'd you manage to gain 17 spots, put that thing in the top 5?
Well, we just kept tweaking on her through the race and tried to be patient and pick our spots for trying to make safe passes, and it worked out for us. Truck was real good after I think after the second pit stop. It pretty much came to life and was where we were real comfortable with it. We could pretty much do what we wanted to do with it. Lacked a little bit of speed, but I was real happy with it.
Now, new build, of course, coming out yesterday. One of the changes that came through was the additional tire wear of pretty much all the NASCAR vehicles. How did that really affect here at Atlanta? Because Atlanta, by default, is almost always a really high tire wear style circuit. How much did that extra tire wear affect race strategy and really where you had to drive out there on the racetrack?
Quite a bit. I tried to run the line I normally run. I mean, was very happy with their set as of Monday night. Doc's a great crew chief. He set us up pretty good there and helped us out, and we were real happy. Then the build come out and it just threw a major wrench into things, and Doc put a lot of testing in, and thankfully got a good set under us, and we tweaked it a little bit to our liking and worked on it through the run here, and it was good. But yeah, it was a major difference, and temperature, I'm actually kind of glad the temperature was down a little bit. I think it made it a little bit better racing that way. The higher temps, it's just so greasy out there, it's pretty tough.
Talking about you, Frank, in that 13 machine, I mean, there's been points in this championship where you've run a lot stronger than you did last year. We've talked to you a handful of times up amongst the top 5 in the post-race interviews. You think going into next season that 13 machine could be a contender for your Raven Grafixx and E-Speed championship?
Anything's possible. I mean, I always try and be confident and know that any day anything can happen with anyone. I mean, if you're in the right spot at the right time and all the chips fall your way, it's possible. I mean, you still need a good team behind you and a good set underneath you, and just you need some skill there too. A lot of it's luck. So yeah, anything's possible. I won't discount it any. I'd like to, but I know everybody else is going to be even stronger next year as we go forward.
Well, thanks for joining us, Frank. Congratulations on the huge net gain in race trim, getting yourself into that top 5 here at the tail end of this championship. Before we let you go, any shout-outs? Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Doyle at Raven Grafixx does a great job there. Lone Star Rod and Customs, the GBR guys. Keith Stewart, E-Speed, for making all this possible. Obviously, I have to thank my teammates, because without them, we wouldn't be where we're at today. Family, Brandon Holder, want to give them best wishes and lots of prayers. And obviously, you guys, you do a great job, and we really appreciate it.
We appreciate all the kind words, Frank. Thanks again for joining us. Hope to see you run strong next week out in Vegas.
At 10-4, appreciate it. We're going to try.
Well, that's going to wrap up the post-race interviews. Jake, Glovebox Racing Hard Luck Award, really only one answer. Travis Townsend.
Yeah, really only one answer. Unfortunately, it is Travis Townsend. He had nowhere to go. I think he had that truck just to another level tonight. Every time, as soon as he got to the front, from 11th in 19 laps, even with a little bit of help from a caution, but he got to the front. That was it. He was in pretty much running around the front all the time. He had a little bit of trouble with Termire sort of closing down later on, but Townsend, he just got caught up in that incident, and that was all she wrote for what looked like a very comfortable victory at that stage. Next phase of the chase, Vegas, Dega, Richmond.
those one cookie cutter, one super speedway, one short track. Only other way is you could make that more of a curveball phase is if you made it 4 round phases and you threw road course in there.
It's pretty much got a bit of everything, doesn't it, Randy? It's one of those phases, and it's a good phase to have. You've already thrown off that Watkins Glen curveball in the first phase, the road course. Now let's get all 3 of them in one and see how you go. Vegas is going to be a great race, especially after tonight. Some of the battles and the way the guys are learning with this, obviously the new build and heading into next week. I think that's definitely just going to pick it up another notch. Obviously Talladega, it's going to be Talladega, and then Richmond. Man, the tire is going to be hard there at Richmond. I think it's going to be a great race to watch as well.
Indeed it is. But up until next week, that is going to do it for us here on RaceSpot TV and iRacingLive for the Raven Grafixx and eSpeed Contender Series. Pretty tame and pretty calm shows for the most part here on RaceSpot this week. Only 3 shows. Had the Monday Night Skippies earlier in the week, the Raven Grafixx and eSpeed Contender Series. But we have the big show coming up this weekend. Be there this weekend, starting on Saturday, the iRacing, the second annual 24 Hours of Le Mans, featuring the HPD prototype and the new Ford and Ferrari GTE cars. Should be an exciting show as everyone is basically stockpiling huge amounts of testing time in to figure out the new cars. But for me, Randy Chineth, Hugo Louis, Jake Blackhall, everyone behind the scenes at the Raven Grafixx and eSpeed Contender Series who makes this happen, KPD, IFX, everyone, if I forgot you, it wasn't on purpose. And of course, our hearts and prayers go out to Brandon Holder and his family after their loss. But until this weekend, we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.